What's up, everyone? You're listening to WXSU. I'm JjLee with the JjLee Hockey Show again, another episode. And the NHL season now started a week and a half ago, so there's a lot more to talk about this week. So let's get into it. First, Macklin Celebrini got injured last week, one game into his career, which it obviously is a bummer for him because, or it obviously sucks to see that because every kid is looking forward to getting their career started, and with him being the first overall pick, everyone was like, all the fans, the whole league was really anticipating his start, and he did get to make his debut, and he had a good debut too. He had I think a goal and an assist, so he got the first goal and assist in his debut. So it does kind of suck that he got injured right afterwards and will miss some time. Although it doesn't seem like he'll miss that much more time. It's not like a month. It's not like a month-long injury or anything. It sounds like he's already been out for a week. It sounds like he will be back within the next week, from what I'm hearing. Next we have some pretty sad news or not news, but like just events. Obviously with the passing of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew happening back at the end of August, and this past week the Blue Jackets and Panthers honored Johnny Gaudreau before the game, and there are multiple different ways to honor him. It was revealed that he really likes Skittles that he really likes Skittles and purple Gatorade. So all the Panthers players came in with purple Gatorade and Skittles into the game. Both teams wore Gaudreau number 13 jerseys during warm-ups. So everyone was wearing Johnny Gaudreau's jersey. Even the Panthers made Johnny Gaudreau jerseys, and then before the game they had a ceremony to honor him and raise the banner with his number, and then sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. And then to start the game, they waited 13 seconds after puck drop, or to go off the clock after puck drop in honor of his number 13. So it's still very tragic what happened. I still can't believe it actually happened, or that's actually real. But yeah, it's just a very sad thing. Although it is very heartwarming to see the hockey community come together. Just the entire hockey community has really come together to honor him and keep him and his brother's memory alive. Obviously, for the family, there's no ways to heal the pain that they're in, or the loss, to heal the loss for them. But we can, of course, help them. Of course, the hockey community can help them cope. And the Blue Jackets and Flyers have had Guy Gaudreau, the Gaudreau brothers' father, at practice, and I think that's just really good for them, or good of them to do. And there's been some clips of him smiling at the practices, just talking to the players, which is always great to see. But yeah, it's still just a very sad tragedy that I still can't believe happened. And then you had, of course, Sean Monahan, who's been Gaudreau's really good friend since they were together in Calgary, signed in Columbus's offseason to play with him again. And it's sadly not going to happen, or sadly now won't happen. But the Blue Jackets looks like have made him feel really welcome there, and him, along with the whole entire Blue Jackets team, is really determined to play for Gaudreau this year. When Monahan scored a goal that night, he immediately pointed to the Gaudreau banner, and they gave him I forget what it was, but they were giving out the the post game thing for the player, for who the team determines the player of the game, and they gave it to Monahan for the first one. So it's, like I said, it's definitely still very tragic and very sad what happened, but I think it is heartwarming to see the whole hockey community and the Blue Jackets organization, especially Gaudreau's former teammates, come together to honor him and keep his memory alive. But yeah, he really inspires so many people, has left such a big impact on the game, and has left an even bigger impact on the people who knew him and his brother as well. So rest in peace to Johnny Hockey and Matthew Gaudreau. But yeah, it's still very tragic, though. Moving on to something that's more, I guess, more exciting to talk about, or more, I don't want to say it like that, more like less, I guess, somber to talk about, is we did have a goalie goal this week, which from Phil Gustafson, which is always cool to see. Last one was obviously Linus Ullmark back in February of 2023, so it's been like a year and a half now, and goalie goals are just always amazing because their goalie goals. I can't really explain it much better than that. They're going to be, or seeing a goalie score a goal is usually a rare occurrence. So whenever we see it, it's usually hot news or top news and everything. Speaking of goalies, we did see two goalies get re-signed this week. We saw Linus Ullmark signed a 4-year extension worth $8.25 million a year with the Ottawa Senators, which he's just getting started with them, and they already signed him because he's already proven to be an elite goalie. I will say though, he's 31 years old, I'm pretty sure, and so the contract takes him until he's 35. I probably would have gone 2 years rather than 4, just because I would not want. I'd be concerned about how he's going to age the next few years, because goalies can get a little dicey. Some age really well into their 30s, others kind of fall off. So I would have signed him for 2 years, especially as the Senators are trying to come out of a rebuild. Like, it's one thing if you're all in now and you're going to be kind of regressing a few years anyway, so you're just trying to go all in now and win a cup. But Ottawa's trying to come out of a rebuild, so they're hoping to be back and be a playoff team again in 4 years. So you don't want to be trying to contend for a playoff spot or trying to contend for a cup, and you have that Ullmark contract dragging you down in the last year or two of it. So yeah, I think Ullmark's a great goalie, and I think re-signing him now, I think he's worth that money, but I am a little concerned about the future of the contract, or how the contract will be in the final year or two, the second half of the contract. But then the Dallas Stars also re-signed Jake Oettinger, who, in my opinion, is a top 10 goalie in the league, and he also got $8.25 million. For him, it was 8 years, which I think this is a great deal for Dallas. Oettinger is currently 25, so this contract takes him until he's 33, locks him up for his entire prime, and I think that I'm not sure I'd say he's quite worth $8.25 million a year right now, but by that I mean I would have gone more like 7.75 or 8 million. So when I say he's not worth 8.25 million, I'm thinking it's just like $500,000 or $250,000 too much, nothing like extreme. But I think he is still gonna be a very elite goalie in the next 8 years, and also the cap's gonna go up too. So I think this contract will age really well for Dallas as the cap goes up. And like I said, I think he's just very minorly overpaid. So as the cap goes up, that's really not gonna be a big deal at all. But I think it's great for the Dallas to get their goalie locked up for the next 8 years, and excuse me, their future's looking pretty good, or looking really bright. Like they're already a very elite team with guys like Robertson, Hintz, Heiskanen, Oettinger, and all those guys are still relatively young. And then you got guys like Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankoven, Maverick Bourque. So they're one of the best teams in the league right now, and have one of the best futures in the league. So Dallas is definitely one of the best spots in the league right now, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next 10 years. I'd be shocked if they don't win a cup at least. They could become a dynasty. I'm not saying easily, because becoming a dynasty is really hard, but I think that Dallas could. If I was to rank a list of the top teams that are most likely to become the next dynasty of the NHL, Dallas would definitely be up there. I think their future's just that amazing, and they're just that good now. So yeah, good on them getting their goalie re-signed. We also had a kind of interesting incident this week. Rasmus Dahlin and Peyton Krebs at practice for the Sabres. Dahlin hip-checked Krebs, I think, during a scrimmage, and after that, a fight broke out between the two. And obviously, this caused a lot of drama around the NHL, like for the fans, because people are coming at Dahlin saying he's the captain, how is he doing this? Like, he's a horrible teammate, horrible leader, and everything. And then later that day, Krebs posted on his Instagram story, quote, "Hugging my best friend when we score," at Rasmus Dahlin, basically tagging him, saying that they're cool with each other. They're not like against each other. They're friends and everything. And I think we do need to realize this probably happens a lot more than we think, because when you think about it, these are some very competitive athletes, and it's just a very competitive atmosphere, very competitive setting. So sometimes even the closest friends might get into a conflict at practice. Of course, seeing a fight between two teammates isn't something you want to see, but I think people do kind of overreact to it. Like they act like when it happens, the two teammates are horrible teammates, or they must hate each other, or that they're just like something really bad's happening. Whereas usually they are cool with each other. And it's just it's like a quick scrap, or a quick conflict, and then it's over and then it's over after that. Like I don't think there's any like most times when this happens, of course, we have seen times where two teammates really did dislike each other, but most times when this happens, I don't think there's really any tension between the two. Like moving forward, it sounds like they are good friends. They just had a conflict happen, an incident, playing a competitive sport. So, looking at what else I have, we had two major milestones. Sidney Crosby got 1,600 points this past week, and Evgeny Malkin in the same game got his 500th goal. Which those two are Penguins players. Obviously, I'm a Caps fan, but I have full respect for them. They're both legends of the game. Crosby is a top 10 player all time, no doubt. Malkin, I think, is very underrated, or his career has been very underrated because he plays with Crosby. Like during his prime, he was probably the third best player in the NHL. Just people didn't really notice it because he was always in Crosby's shadow. But Malkin's a very elite player, or has been a very elite player in his own right, and both legendary careers, Hall of Famers. Just like I said, legends of the game that I have full respect for. Guess I'll get back to playing music, and then I'll go into the next topic once I'm done after this break. Moving on with the show, then I want to talk about just how some of the teams are doing in the NHL, because we've got obviously some teams who are starting off really good, some that are starting off really bad, some that were supposed to be bad that are doing good, some that were supposed to be really good that are doing bad. So I'm gonna start in the Metro. The New Jersey Devils are on fire right now, currently 5-2-0, and they had last year. I think everyone knew it was a down year, but I said before the season, of course. I mean, I'm not just saying just me. Like a lot of people had this prediction that I said before the season that they're going to bounce back. That there's just no way they weren't going to bounce back. I felt that last year they just got very unlucky with injuries. Just a lot of things went wrong for them. They had bad goaltending last year, and this year that they were really going to bounce back and be a top contender again. And they're proving that right. They've been one of the hottest teams to start the season, and I think they are back to being like that 2022-23 team that we saw that made it to the second round. Was, I think, I want to say third or fourth in the league. I could be wrong, but bottom line, they were a top contender that year. Last year they had it was very disappointing for them, and but I just think it was a down year. And this year it looks like they are back and they are a legit contender again. Staying in the Metro, the New York Rangers too are currently 3-0-1, and obviously the reigning President's Trophy winners from last year, and Artemi Panarin especially was their leading point scorer last year, had 120 points, and he's off to a great start this year, currently tied for league lead in points with 11, and had a hat trick last night against the Red Wings. So had a hat trick Thursday night against the Red Wings, and he's once again. My only thing with him is that he's that player that does so well in the regular season, but always disappears in the playoffs. So it's where he's doing great, but no one's really going to take him seriously until he proves he can show up in the playoffs, because he's proven that he can be one of the best wingers or one of the best forwards in the league, honestly, in the regular season. But the problem is, can he do it in the playoffs? Can he be this elite star in the playoffs that drives the Rangers offense? Because he's been, like I said, he's been one of the best wingers. Like, he's been a top 5 winger in the league, in my opinion, the past 5 years. But every year in the playoffs, he kind of goes quiet. 2022 he was okay in the playoffs in 2022 and 2024. 2023, he was absolutely he was invisible at times in the first round against the Devils that year. That was just absolutely embarrassing for him. But even when he does kind of show up, like I said, in 2022 and 2024, he was still okay, like, for his standards. Like, he wasn't, for a guy that put up 120 points. Like, I think he was about point per game last year in the playoffs, but for a guy that put up 120 points in the regular season, that is kind of going quiet for him. Excuse me. And I just think that sorry, I'm getting over a cold from this week, so that's why I sound a little rough. But yeah, it's Panarin once again doing great, but we gotta see what he can do in the playoffs to really take him seriously. Moving on in the Atlantic, the Panthers, the defending champs, I think they're currently I forgot to write down the record, but for the show, but they're doing they're a little over 500, but considering the fact that Kachuk's been out for this week, Barkov is out for a few weeks, like the fact that they don't have their two best forwards, I think they're doing pretty good. They could also be dealing with a cup hangover. I've not really watched a lot of games other than the Caps this week, so I've not actually seen them play to know by the eye test, but my guess is that they're probably just a combination of considering a combination of not having their two best forwards and just getting over winning a Stanley Cup this partying all summer. I think they are doing pretty good. I think they are still an elite team and will be back to being a top contender in the playoffs. I had them coming in third in the Atlantic this year, mostly just because I thought they were going to get off to maybe a slower start, but then by the time the playoffs actually came around, my prediction is that they'll be an elite contender again. So yeah, I think the pieces are all still there. The defense is a little concerning after losing Brandon Montour, but I think as a whole they are still a very good team. The Lightning are currently 3-0. Kucherov obviously off to a great start again. I thought he should have won the MVP last year. I thought he was the most valuable player to his team last year, but either way, still one of the most elite players in the league for sure. I had him when I did my list of the top 50 players, or I had my top 10 list for my top 10 players in the league. I had Kucherov at 3. I think he's that good. He's just so good at making the guys around him better, and then it's not just him though. Like the Lightning are still a very good team. I don't think they're the elite team they were a few years ago, but they are still a team that I think will be a safe playoff team. I saw some people predicting them to miss the playoffs this year, and I disagreed with that from the start. I think they are still a playoff team, or should still be a safe playoff team. Of course, it is still early, but I think this 3-0 start is legit. I don't think they'll be they'll probably cool down a little bit. I don't think they'll be like a top 5 team in the league, but to end the season. But I think they are still a very good team. And then the Sabres, on the other hand, in Atlanta, you got the Sabres and Red Wings who are off to rough starts. Sabres are currently 1-4-1 in their first 6 games, and I said before the season, I said that the range of this team could finish is very wide. Like they could be fighting for a wild card spot, finish all the way up to like 4th in the division. That would not surprise me. However, they could also be like one of the worst in the league and finish like last in the division or second to last. So I said the range that they could finish was very like unpredictable. So it's this saying that they are still deep in a rebuild, which I do feel for Sabres fans. They've been bad for so long. Not made the playoffs since 2010 or 2009, around there, or one of those years. I think it might have been 2010 last time they made the playoffs. So they've been a very miserable fan base, miserable franchise. So I think everyone is kind of rooting for them to accept this year, but we'll see, because the division is just so the Atlantic division is just so competitive that I don't know that they're going to get past. They're going to finish above teams like Florida, Tampa, Boston, Toronto, even Ottawa. But yeah, they are off to a rough start, so we'll see if they can turn it around. And then Detroit, I was saying heading into the season that I think that they are overrated. They're currently 1-3 to start the season, and I know they took a step forward last year and almost made the playoffs, but they added Tarasenko. However, to me, they didn't fix anything because their offense was already their strong area. They needed help on defense and goaltending, and they didn't fix any of that. Their defense is one of the worst. It's like a bottom 10 decor in the league, in my opinion. It just isn't. It's just not good at all to me. It's very concerning, very weak. Aside from Moritz Seider, there's really no one. They've got Ben Sherratt on their first line, first pair, which is not good. They do have guys like Axel Sandin-Pellikka and Simon Edvinsson, who are young and promising, but I don't think they're ready to be like a top 4. I don't think they're ready to be top 4 defensemen yet. So I'm really not. Heading into the season, I really was not high on the Red Wings, and my mind obviously has not changed from the start with the start they've had. And because the goaltending too, really Husso and Cam Talbot. I know Talbot was good last year, but I thought that was a fluke. It could be I thought it could very well be a fluke season from him because he was looking washed up before that, and the Red Wings team just doesn't impress me. It's great forward core with guys like Raymond, not Sider, Larkin, DeBrincat, Kane, Tarasenko, but the decor, I feel like the defense and goaltending is just too weak. Then then you're moving on to the Western Conference. You got the Dallas Stars, who are off to an amazing start. We're off to an amazing start. They're 4-1-0, and we're undefeated before playing my Caps last night. But yeah, they're once again proven to be one of the top teams in the league. They were one of the top teams last year. I had them win the Cup last year, which obviously didn't happen, but still made it to the conference finals and have been a very dangerous team the past few years now. And I think that's only going to continue. Like I said earlier, they're one of the best teams now, and have one of the best futures in the league. So they might be the best position right now in the league, just with the present, and the future. So I think this start is legit for Dallas. I think they are going to be one of the top teams again. But yeah, there's no, like I said, when you're this early in the season, there's certain starts that people overreact to. I don't think this is an overreaction. I think Dallas is, of course, a legit team. We all knew they're a good team, but I think they are one of the top teams in the league still. There were some concerns about their defense heading into the season, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be, once again, a top team I think they're going to win the Central again and once again be a top contender. One of the biggest surprises in the league, the Utah Hockey Club is off to a good start. First season in Utah after relocating, and they're currently 3-1-1. Everyone knew this team's future was looking good, but I don't think anyone really expected them to be. They were looked at as a team that could make a wild card spot this year, but I don't think anyone expected them to get off to the start they have, in which I don't think this one's legit. I think they will cool down a bit, come back down to earth, but they are looking like they could maybe contend for a wild card spot, or at least come close to a wild card spot. Excuse me. I think they're. Sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, I think the future's just looking really good, and then because especially the biggest story for them has been Dylan Guenther, who signed an 8-year extension over the offseason, has been progressively getting better the past few seasons, looking really promising, and then now he's off to a start. 5 games played, 5 goals, 1 assist for 6 points. So he's looking like he's set to become an absolute stud for this hockey club, and the future's amazing. It unfortunately did not work out in Arizona for them, but this is now a new beginning for them, and I think that being in Utah moving forward, the future is very bright. You also have Winnipeg, who's undefeated with a 3-0 record, but then just like with Atlanta, you got some teams who are doing pretty bad in the Central too. And the surprising thing is those two teams are the Nashville Predators and Colorado Avalanche, who were supposed to be two of the top teams in the Central heading into the season. They're both currently 0-4 to start the year, which is very surprising. Colorado's been one of the top teams the past 2 seasons, obviously, and you look at their team right now. Makar has 8 points, Rantanen and McKinnon both have 7 points, so their stars are still doing very good, still among the top of the league. But the problem is, I think, like I said, I've not watched a lot of games, or I've maybe watched like 1 or 2 games other than the Caps so far, so I've not actually watched any of the Avalanche, but my guess is that not having some of their key supporting cast like Val Nichushkin or Arturi Lehkonen is hurting them. And then in net, Alexander Georgiev currently has a .802 save percentage and a 5.79 goals against average, which I've been saying for a while. I did not have faith in him, or I did not trust him in net. Even when he had like a .918 save percentage in 2023, I think it was, I still thought that was more the team in front of him and not him being that good of a goalie himself. And then last year he kind of wasn't that great. This year he's off to a horrible start. So that's the thing with Colorado. I think that their offense is great, defense is great, but the goaltending is, out of all the elite teams in the league, or of all the teams that have elite rosters in the league, I'd say that Colorado might have the worst goaltending out of those teams, because I just don't trust Georgiev at all. I don't think he's that good of a goalie. He can maybe be a backup, but I think they do need to get another starter if they're going to be trying to contend this year. I would not trust Georgiev heading into the playoffs. I think either way they are going to get back together. I don't think they're. I think they're too good to continue playing this way. I think they will make up some time. I think they will get back on top of their game and make up for this. But heading into the playoffs with Georgiev and net just really would worry me if I'm an Avs fan, or if I'm the Avalanche or management. having Georgiev in net would not be something I'm comfortable with. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline and see if there's any goalies available. But I definitely would try and get a goalie at the deadline for Colorado. And then Edmonton, Vancouver in the Pacific we're off to some bad starts too. Edmonton started 0-3, but then they did win their past 2 games, so it looks like they probably are back on track. Obviously last year they had a horrible start and then went on to go to the Stanley Cup final. Sorry. Went on to go to the Stanley Cup final, and I don't think they can afford to do that again, to start like that again. But I think they are. It looks like they are waking up now and starting to play like the Edmonton Oilers we know again. But Vancouver is more concerning to me because they're currently 1-1-2 to start, and guys like Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser, and JT Miller have had solid starts. But the real concern is Elias Pettersson. He currently has just 1 assist, and he currently has just 1 assist in 4 games for the Canucks, and I think he's making like over $11 million a year. So that's not looking good, because he also second half of last season he wasn't playing good either, or he wasn't himself. He really like dropped off in the second half of last season, and it was revealed he was playing through an injury. So we thought maybe that's why he was not playing to his best. But now this start to the season really is questionable. Like, is he, like, I think he is still a very good player, but is he really the superstar that we thought he was a couple years ago? Because a couple years ago he was like widely regarded as a top 10 center in the league, and maybe even borderline top 5, and I'm not sure about that now. We'll see how he does the rest of the season, but after how he ended last season and starting this season, it is looking a little dicey for him as far as his superstar, like elite top 10 center status. And then staying in the Pacific, you've got the Calgary Flames, who are off to a 4-0 start despite rebuilding, which I don't think they're legit. I think they will come back down to earth, but even still, it's just crazy that they're off to a 4-0 start when they're supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they could obviously still be one of the worst teams in the league, just off to a fluke start. But you look at their players, like Huberdeau and Anderson both have 6 points. Zari, Pospisil, and Kuzmenko each have 5 points, and Kadri and Mantha both have 4 points. So that's 7 players with a point per game or more, which is crazy. Because this forward core was looking very bland before the season started. Of course, Huberdeau's not been the same player he was. He has not been the same player since being traded from Florida in 2022. In 2022 was tied for second in points with 115, and then went to Calgary, and it's been him just fell off the past 2 years. So could this be a bounce back season for him? We'll see. But Kadri and Mantha being a point per game, or Kadri is not super surprising, but Mantha, who they just kind of got, I thought, to flip him at the deadline this year. Him being a point per game is pretty good, or like is pretty impressive, pretty surprising. But I do still like him. He was on the Caps for those who don't remember, so I do still like him. I'm glad to see him doing well. Zari, Kuzmenko have 5 points, so this Calgary team surprised everyone to start the season. We'll see how they do for the rest of the year. Of course, we'll see if they sustain it, which I don't think they will, but it'll be really interesting to see if they do and what they do moving forward, because they're supposed to be rebuilding for like the next 5 years. But if they do good this season, then it'll be interesting to see if they still stick to the plan, or if they don't, or if they choose to try and contend again. This is almost giving me, if they continue like this, though, it's almost giving me kind of the vibes from Philly last year. They had a really good start unexpectedly. They were one of the hottest teams in the league the first half of the season, but then the second half they came back down to earth. Were one of the worst teams in the league, and I think the Flyers are closer to the team they were in the second half of last year than the first half, and I am kind of thinking Calgary could be the same way. I just don't see this team being like a legit team. So. Yeah, well, it'll be really interesting to see how they do over the next few weeks, see if they sustain this or if they come back down to earth. But I guess I'll end the show with some Caps news, because the Caps have had their season opener. I said last week I was going home to see the home opener, which obviously they lost to the Devils, which was disappointing, but I still had a great time. During the red carpet event, I actually got to meet some players, or got the it's an event basically where people will like wait outside while the players come into the arena, and the players were kind of signing autographs with people standing by the red carpet. So I was able to get some autographs. I was able to get some autographs from the alumni too, which was really cool. And it was overall an amazing experience. It was a great night, even though I wish they could have gotten the win. But the experience-wise, it was one of the best game experiences I've ever been to. It was the pregame anniversary, of course, their 50th anniversary, the pregame ceremony they had, where they showed like a whole video of the franchise's history and introduced some of the alumni and all the players. It gave me chills watching it. So it was still a good night. Unfortunately, though, Matt Wall got injured in the first game. He's due to miss, quote, a decent amount of time from, I forget who quoted that. I think it might have been like Spencer Carberry or Brian McClellan, but or not Brian McClellan, Chris Patrick, general manager. I'm still getting used to Brian McClellan not being general manager, but it's just unfortunate because he's supposed to be a big help to our decor, and we got him, and he's not supposed to be out like super long term. Like I think it might be like a week to week injury, but the fact that, he was listed as day to day, but they said although it's listed as day to day, it is still a decent amount of time, so it probably is more like week to week or like a couple weeks. So it's unfortunate to see that happen in his first game, but hopefully he will be back sooner than later. We saw some changes to the roster. Ovechkin was moved to right wing after the first game, and he so far he doesn't have a goal yet in the first 3 games, but he does have 3 assists, and his passing's been looking good. Like he had a good pass, he had a pretty nifty pass last night. Unfortunately, they didn't capitalize, but against Vegas too on Tuesday night, he had 2 assists. One of them was a pretty nice move. So I just think that despite his age, like of course he's not. Everyone's kind of focusing on the fact that he doesn't have a goal yet, but watching him play by the eye test, he looks like he's skating better than he did last year. Like last year, there were times where he looked super like sluggish and like looked like he was having trouble skating and everything. And while he's still not a super fast player, he just looks more comfortable skating. Like just watching his movements, it looks more comfortable. Or he looks more comfortable skating. So I'm hoping he can get a goal sooner rather than later. But I'm not so concerned about him. He looks like he's looking better than he did to start last season, which is nice to see. But yeah, he did get his 700th assist though the other night, which is pretty awesome. He's the 6th player in NHL history to get both 700 goals and 700 assists. So I think that kind of like that's where the narrative that he doesn't pass or is a selfish player is so dumb. Like he has 700 assists. And people say he doesn't pass. I don't understand how people still think that, but. Either way, congrats to Ovi. Just an amazing accomplishment, amazing milestone. And yeah, he's obviously just continues to get into more and more groups more and more categories that only like some of the top legends I've ever been in. So pretty amazing to see. We saw Jacob Vrana get his first goal since returning to Washington on Tuesday night, which was amazing. It's been everyone's happy to have him back, and he seems happy to be back. It's been a very difficult past 18 months for him, so it's great to see him. It looks like he's having fun. Looks like he's happy to be back, so it's good to see him smiling and everything. And it was great to see him score that goal, get his confidence back up. For him to get into the lineup, though, Sonny Milano got scratched after the first game, which, as we know, Spencer Carberry's been disappointed in him throughout the preseason and training camp, and I like Milano a lot, but. I'm hoping that he can get out of his slump soon, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, they need to play who's going to help the team win right now. So yeah, I hope Milano can get his game back on track, but we'll just have to wait and see. And then we saw just some other storylines for the Caps. We saw Logan Thompson get get a win against his former team on Tuesday night, which was great to see. And Charlie Lindgren got a huge win last night for the Caps. I think that both are looking very solid. I'm very excited to see what this tandem has to offer this year. It looks like they're alternating them before they find a clear starter, which I'm not sure they will find a clear starter. I think both of them are kind of the same caliber goalies, so they might just alternate them a lot throughout the season, but I'm really excited for this tandem. And then to close it out, Tom Wilson obviously had a down year last year. Everyone was kind of hating on him, saying if he's in your top six, that's not good, or he's, the fact that he's in their top six is not a good thing for the Caps, and he's kind of proving them wrong. He has 3 goals in the first 3 games, so he's proving that he is still a very good player. I'm not saying he's like an elite player, like a superstar, but he is still a very good first liner, and I think he is having a bounce back season. And then I like the effort from guys like PLD, Alexei Protas. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this team. Jacob Chikrin so far. So yeah, that's about it for today, though. Thank you for listening once again, and I'll see you in the next episode.